I'm Jim Tech with Ian Burns. Here we are with the really big show. A little bit of technical difficulties again. Got a slow start, but we're ready to go. Kelowna makes international news, and not in a good way either. Kelowna made it on CNN, getting hacked. That's the crazy part, eh? But Stellantis makes commitment to invest, and it's not in Canada. Carney causes chaos intentionally. CBC says it wants to do better. Poilievre says criminal charges should have been laid. More of nothing from Anita Anand. Mass resignation at Kamloops Hospital. Liberals target the wrong guns. And Harris says she's the most qualified. All that and a lot more in the really big show. We're going to kick it off, though. I did an interview with Macklin McCall yesterday, and he put out this tweet this morning. But somehow Hamas, a pro-Hamas group, I guess, hacked the Kelowna airport. And that's one of two airports that were hacked in Canada. And playing messaging and imagery.
Pretty cringe, pretty crap stuff as well, but from what looks to be some Turkish kid. It's kind of astonishing to me that his account hasn't been banned. It's just like he's purporting to be publishing the personal phone numbers of Israeli cabinet ministers as well, and that's just up there. But yeah, sort of, for what it's worth, tried to see if X had anything to say about it. I mean, they don't really respond to the press, so I doubt they're going to say anything. But quite weird, quite strange indeed.
Quite wild that Kelowna, and obviously they're the most vulnerable, I guess. They say they're fixing it, and it is kind of an embarrassment that some hacker, I mean, AI may be giving these people more tools, but obviously a vulnerability, Kelowna being one of the busier airports in Canada.
Yeah, well, this child here, this Cyber Islam, this account, when you go on there, he seems to think that it's an American airport. Don't think he even knows that it's in Canada. I mean, it's just very, very, very peculiar behavior. I don't really know how to make sense of it. But I suppose the one thing that we can say definitively is that obviously the airport had very poor cybersecurity, didn't they? If it was that easy to hack into it.
Not good. And that's, and also, I think they shut down the airport for the flights as well. The big news, though, the really big news, although this was, I guess, big news, but I don't know how material this news is, but the big news is Stellantis says it's going to invest big, but it's not investing in Canada. It's moving the production of the Jeep Compass south. And we said this over and over and over again. Drop those EV mandates, or you're going to see all the American automakers go south. Let's go and play this clip here first.
Well, the union representing Canada's auto workers is calling on the federal government to take action over a potential trade war threat to thousands of auto industry jobs. Stellantis says it will shift production from its Brampton, Ontario plant to Illinois. It's part of the automaker's new promise to invest more than $18 billion in the U.S., boosting production in that country by 50% and creating thousands of jobs for Americans. News of the production shift from Canada south of the border is hitting just over a week after Prime Minister Mark Carney's visit to the White House. That visit had U.S. President Donald Trump tell Carney that the U.S. and Canada were natural competitors for industries like the auto sector. And the next day, his trade czar, Howard Lutnick, reportedly warned a Toronto audience that Canada would always come second to the U.S. when it comes to the car industry. Marianne Demain is tracking the latest for us on this story.
That's good. Yeah. So the industrial carbon tax, the EV mandates, the regulation, all those things, and the incentives. They're American car makers as well, and they've been incentivized to come home.
Well, not just I mean, it's not just carrot. They've also been sticked a bit, haven't they, by the Trump administration. I can't imagine Canada or Ontario are going to be wielding a stick anytime soon. But certainly, as you alluded to there are carrots. And I get to use the phrase once again, Mark Carney's favorite phrase, comparative advantage. If you want to prosper in a globalized economy, even a partially globalized one, like the NAFTA arrangement, that you've got to
compete. Wow.
Offer some sort of benefits. And Canada, as we've said a million times, can compete. Wages are lower in Canada anyway, for starters. Like there can be that advantage, but also energy is generally cheaper and can be a lot cheaper even than it already is. That is the way that this struggle could be won. But instead of that, it's people just talk around the issue, I find. Although this random guy on Twitter seems to have nailed it by mentioning the carbon tax. I mean, that's one thing that you can just instantaneously ditch and just say, forget it. If we want to survive, we have to be as competitive as possible. We have to be very, very nimble. And there's no point doing things like this that everybody with even a tiny bit of knowledge of the issue knows will have no effect on global climate change, obviously.
And the EV mandate, you're expecting these companies to invest billions of dollars to build out plants in that. And that EV mandate, they paused it, but it's still a cloud hanging over top of the industry. So, I mean, again, there's no EV mandate in the United States, and the Jeep Compass is not an EV. And the American automakers have made it clear that their focus is really not on EVs. They don't make money selling EVs. They make money selling combustion engines and hybrids.
And the company that does make money selling EVs is basically has a curse on their name in this country.
Yeah, it's not good. And then Doug Ford's reaction there, he says, that he's spoken with Stellantis, expressed his disappointment, and he's, spoke to Unifor as well. But Doug Ford's also spending $75 million running ads in the United States targeting red states and trying to use Ronald Reagan's voice as why tariffs don't work. I think that might be money wasted as well.
Well, David Eby is also spending BC taxpayers' money to run ads in the US talking about how Russia has preferential treatment in the timber industry vis-a-vis Canada. It's just everything's about America, isn't it? It's like for all that Doug Ford, David Eby, they try to present themselves as almost in opposition to the United States. In reality, they're just a part of that world. I mean, they might as well be Americans. It's just the way that they think. Everything goes through the United States, doesn't it?
We got a statement here from Mark Carney on this. I mean, everybody's reacting to it, but here's you can kind of go through some of this statement. And this is the part here at the end. On November 4th, Canada's new government will table a budget that will, here's the word, and this is going to be the most used word in this government, will catalyze generational investments to build the economy of the future while ensuring workers and industries can bridge to seize its opportunities. I don't even know what that sentence makes sense to me. Can bridge to seize its opportunities. What does that mean? If you read that, what does that mean? We'll table a budget to catalyze generational investments.
Where is it? Which paragraph?
The last one there.
The last paragraph. Canada's new government will table a budget that will catalyze, spelled incorrectly, by the way. That's the British spelling. That's not the Canadian spelling. Catalyze generational investments to build the economy of the future while ensuring workers and industries can bridge to seize its opportunities. It doesn't make any sense.
What does this mean? What does this mean?
I mean, he's a numbers guy. That's the only defense that I can think. He does numbers, not letters. He's not very good with English, is
he? Again, it's so painfully obvious. You and I cannot be the smartest people in Canada. You and I cannot figure this out, and nobody else can. How long have we been saying, drop the EV mandate, drop the EV mandate? These companies, we said it way back then, these companies are making plans right now in the boardrooms, and they're saying, where do we invest billions of dollars to build out new plants? And then they look at it, EV mandate. That's a bad idea because they don't make money selling EVs. Industrial carbon tax makes us less competitive. Punishment and incentives if we don't go south. Okay, right?
The thing that you're not taking account of, I mean, almost certainly I can say with 100% confidence that we aren't the smartest people in Canada. But what we also aren't is politically or ideologically captured in any way. We don't have any interest groups that we need to appease. We're not calculating on how we can stay in power, because we don't obviously have any power. And that is the truth of it, isn't it? It's about power. That's the only possible explanation as to why a man that appears to be relatively intelligent, almost certainly is considerably intelligent, like Mark Carney, could repeatedly do such obviously stupid things. The only possible explanation is that there are people to appease.
But again, if you look at Mark Carney visit to the White House, very chummy, very friendly, both really, heaping praise on each other. And then at the signing of the peace deal in Egypt, again, chummy, punching each other in the arm, all that stuff. And meanwhile, the Canadian gets this, right? This is what you get at the end of the day. And then you get this paragraph that makes no sense at all. I mean, the one thing that we showed it yesterday, is Trump speaks in plain language to the Americans. This is not plain language. I don't know. I mean, I went to university and college. You went, and I don't know what that says. Other than it has the buzzword in there. I don't know who wrote this for him, but the buzzword is in there, catalyze, spelled incorrectly.
Bridge is being used as a verb there, and it might just be some trendy new way to use bridge as a verb. We're going to bridge to seas, but it's like verb. It doesn't make sense on the face of it. I mean, but this is like, I can believe that he wrote this, because he will have a lot of servants in the Prime Minister's office who can write clear English or something approximating clear English. And they obviously haven't written this, have they? This has not been written by somebody that knows how to communicate in plain English, which I would assume, therefore, that it's come out of Mark Carney's mouth.
The Liberals also say we need to keep CBC to maintain our culture. We have a Prime Minister who can't even maintain the spelling of our English language. And this is not the first time we pointed this out.
Surreal. And this is an order.
Several times.
Yeah, this is an order as well. It's public information that he sent out an email saying that he wanted everything in English. He wanted it in the old country's English, which is odd, because that might have been the case once upon a time that was done in Canada. But since those days, something called Canadian English has evolved, and it uses a Z instead of an S for that kind of word. I mean, there are other sort of unique features of Canadian English. Very peculiar.
Pierre Poilievre has some reaction, though. Pierre Poilievre says, tough days for 3,000 Brampton Stellantis workers who learned that Mark Carney sold them out and let their jobs move to the U.S. after promising to negotiate a win. With Trump giving billions of handouts to the company, the elbows-down Prime Minister got no job guarantees for auto workers. Weak leader, broken promises, lost jobs. I mean...
I just wonder, is that getting through to anyone?
You know? Well, the media won't pick it up.
Is that breaking down any walls and growing Poilievre's base?
But I mean, it was his last name.
I just think he could just as well have not written that, and it would have made the same amount of difference.
More than 3,000 Stellantis workers in Brampton got the call. The company is moving Jeep production to Illinois, investing, get this, again, investing $13 billion. There's more money flowing that way in American factories and American workers. The Liberals gave Stellantis up to $10 billion in taxpayer subsidies for EV plants in Ontario, but failed to secure any job protection. This is the thing. We've had, how much money, like we should try to figure that out. How much money have we spent on EV subsidies, these green schemes and that, and none of it bearing any fruit? Many of them folded up already. And yet we continue down the same road with this EV mandate that we pause, but it's still there laying over top of everything like a cloud, just enough to say to Stellantis, like, Canada's not worth investing in. There's no EV mandates in the United States. They sell. Stellantis, again, what EVs of any consequence are they selling right now? And are they making any money at it? No, they make money selling combustion engines and hybrids. There you go. I don't know.
Which aren't included in a lot of these subsidy arrangements, aren't they?
Well, what they are good at is podium stuff. Here's a Liberal Party ad here, and this is Gregor Robertson standing out there. And guess which word there is? We're investing. The The investment in partnership with the City of Toronto will catalyze. He spelled it a different way, though, so he's obviously on a different page than Mark Carney. So he used a different spelling, I guess, to confuse you more. The construction of 63,000 new homes. They can't even sell the homes they have in Toronto. There's a glut of condos for sale in Toronto, but they're going to catalyze these modular homes, more small homes, in a market that can't sell small homes.
Yeah.
The good news is they probably won't. The good news is they probably won't sell anything.
As you said, they can't even agree on a style guide for the government. Like, that's how crap they are. Like, we've got a style guide. You know, like some company down the road that sells tires or something like that, they will have a style guide. But apparently the federal government can't figure out a style guide.
Well, they do know
it's pitiable.
They do know that word catalyze will be in almost everything, except for the spelling of catalyze. They still have some trouble with how to best use the word.
Oh, you know, I'm not convinced that they even know what that word means either. But they know that it's important. They know that it's special to Mr. Carney.
I can guarantee, like, if we go through all the ads and the everything that Liberals have put out since they won this election, catalyze is likely to be the most used action word that they've used is catalyze, because I don't think most people even know what it means. And then this is from Ollie on Blacklocks. Rules can't even keep up to EVs. Road safety regulations have failed to keep pace with the hazards posed by weighty EVs, says the Department of Transport. Large batteries add tons of weight to motor vehicles, representing a key factor in collisions. Electrification of motor vehicles is flagged as a key factor influencing road safety and motor vehicle industry. Adding the weight of electric vehicles has made regulations obsolete. An electric F-150 pickup can weigh almost 6,000 pounds, so like almost 3 tons, about 50% more than a standard gasoline-powered F-150, according to the Kelly Blue Book. The Tesla Cybertruck weighs 6,600 pounds, or 3 tons. A GMC Hummer, that thing is just a massive monster, that Hummer. I've sat in one and think it's got to be the worst EV ever, and that's GM's first crack at EVs. It's just like, we're going to build this EV and we're going to put it inside this monster vehicle. 9,000 pounds for this thing. It's just a monster. And yeah, that's what I mean. The American automakers, Japanese automakers, the European automakers, nobody makes a decent EV. Other than Tesla, and Tesla's, like you said, is branded as this demon. And then what did the CBC say recently? That Canada needs to have its own automobile. And I think we should put it forward that CBC, along with Doug Ford, should open up their own company and see what it takes, because there isn't very many successful auto companies in the past 50 years. Actually, there's only one, Tesla.
I'd like to see Doug Ford open up a company named after himself. That should do well.
And then they asked this question again: are you open to scrapping the EV mandate with respect to the? And let's be absolutely clear, Carney says, we have an auto sector which, because of massive change in the U.S. trade policy, is under extreme pressure. We recognize that, but no, we won't be scrapping the EV mandate. Why not?
That makes sense. Why? Yeah, why not?
Why are they hanging on to these things? Why the ambiguity? Why the ambiguity? And again, this is another piece
because
from...
it's about staying in power, isn't it?
This is from Poilievre. He put out, like he's saying, the youth unemployment now at crisis level, 460,000 young people out of work. No, we won't go there yet. Nearly 15% of those 15 to 24 years old. And again, Poilievre says we need to unleash the economy, which they won't do. Fix immigration, which they say they will do, but haven't. Fix training, build homes where the jobs are. Again, building in Toronto where they have a glut of homes. Does it make any sense to you? Does it make sense to you? Build more modular homes in Toronto. They have a glut of homes they can't sell. Make it make sense. Make it make sense. I don't know. But he does have, Carney does have all the provinces fighting with each other. Here's David Eby at a media conference with protecting the forest industry during trade talks. Western Region Director Gavin insisted we can't afford to pit one kind of worker against another. It has to be forestry and auto, canola and energy, aerospace and seafood. But that's what Carney has done. He's pitted BC against Alberta. because I mean he's coming out stronger against Daniel Smith. I mean that's going to turn into a catfight that could turn into a constitutional crisis. We've got Doug Ford and Scott Moe going at it, and that's Mark Carney's job to fix all that. He was going to make one country, one team, wasn't that? What's the slogan? He says he doesn't do slogans, but it's all slogans. One team, Canada.
Mm.
What's the progress there?
Yeah. And well, it obviously is not true, is it?
Let's listen in here. This guy picked up on what you and I said days ago. Let's listen in here. Maybe you should call back in and see if we can fix your connection while we play this clip to you. Maybe jump in and out. And let's play this clip, Nick, and then we'll get Ian to jump in and out.
It's as clear as mud what's going on, right? So it depends who you're listening to on what day. Like the political minister for British Columbia for this government was on the hurly-burly not a week ago saying with no more pipelines. We've had other members of the cabinet say no more pipelines. You have, reports of assurances that tanker bans will be lifted and that the caps will be lifted, coming from Carney to various premiers. And then, ambiguity in the press conference that you just heard. They're doing this dance of the seven veils here around this stuff. And if you're trying to say at the same time that you want to attract private capital and private sector proponents for this, well, just shoveling more and more ambiguity on what the regulatory framework are and what the rules that those will be operated in, it almost makes you feel like you're killing the projects before they can even come forward. Like, who is going to propose a new pipeline to the West Coast without assurances that the tanker ban will be lifted? No one is the answer. Nobody. And so, they've got to get clear about this. And I'll come back to what I said earlier. I think the lack of clarity isn't that Mark Carney doesn't understand that markets need certainty in order to make investments. I think it's that he also understands that his caucus and his cabinet are very divided on these issues, and that those need to be reconciled. You've seen some, former cabinet ministers sort of shunted out the door to diplomatic posts. There's rumors of more of that coming down the pipe. Maybe they're waiting for that before, giving clarity on this, because it is so divisive within the ranks. But, clarity needs to come. And this, for it, against it, depending on who you're talking to, that's not helping. It's not helping.
I can't remember the fellow's name on the far right there. What's his name? He's
Scott Reed.
Yeah, Scott. He loses his mind, and you could see that he was really uncomfortable with that, because he's like ready to jump in and defend the Liberals, because he was a Liberal, like he worked for the Liberal Party, and
yeah, I think he was an MP, wasn't he?
Yeah, but I mean, this guy nails it. We've talked about this many times. It's like it must be intentional. We're not sure what's going on, because it seems like it's self-harm at best. Incompetence, I don't know what it is. Like, the messaging is one team Canada, and then out there you just allow just this massive catfights, and actually it seems like you're encouraging, fanning the flames of it. And then you go down to, you talk tough on Trump. You go down there and basically, you guys are like barroom buddies, and then you come back and you talk tough again, and it's just like, I don't know what the average person is to think.
Yeah, it was very funny actually listening to particularly that guy Scott Reed, because I've watched that, and it is. I advise everybody to watch that just for your own amusement.
He's a bit of a nut job.
Well, he just kept going on about Carney. He's like, Carney has done this brilliantly with such delicacy and nuance and exquisitely poised. And it was just all of these, like, this very colorful language about how superb and gifted Mark Carney is.
Some people in the comments there, and we always want to recognize, we appreciate the comments, and we will engage with them. It says, where's the Canadian automaker? There was one in Canada. There was only one that I know of, and it was called the Bricklin. It was made in Newfoundland. I think they made about 2,800 cars. It's very hard to make cars. Elon Musk has said this. Easy to make concept cars. I think they spent, what is it? We did the story. It was a while back. I think $5 million to build a concept car in some university lab, and they say they're going to put it in production in a few years. And you just got to shake your head. That was when Evan Solomon stood there and just like, Canadian innovation at its best. And it was this monstrosity of a car. And it's really hard to make cars, and it's really hard to compete in the auto industry. really, really hard. I think people say there's a lot of other automakers. Rivian, not profitable. And I could name them on and on and on and on. And the only one making money is Tesla out of the automakers. The big ones are Ford and GM and Stellantis, and then Honda, Nissan, Toyota. Those are the big automakers. Anyway. And you keep this EV mandate in place and there'll be none.
So that chap, by the way, he wasn't actually an MP, just to correct that. He was Director of Communications for Paul Martin.
There's somebody in the
which
comments
is a lot more powerful than a mere MP.
Somebody says that his son worked for Mark Carney. I don't know. We don't know. We can't prove that. But hey, David Eby, again, here's Eby, making his case clear on the Alberta pipeline. This is what I mean, one team Canada. The one thing Canada has, I mean, make no mistake, I mean, you'd have to be almost brain dead not to realize that the biggest strength of Canada and one of the biggest contributors to Canada's GDP is oil, energy.
Something like 1/3, like 1 in every 3 dollars that we earn overseas, export dollars, is oil. That's how serious it is. That's how big of a deal it is.
And if Canada is a nation, then the coastline isn't controlled by a province. The coastline belongs to the nation.
But I also think, I mean, maybe if you're using a capital N there, then we can talk about First Nations, because it's not even about the province of BC. If you actually drill down and look at what David Eby has been saying again and again and again and again, and in this example here, he's never said it more clearly. Yeah. He's basically saying First Nations on the coast decide BC's economic plans and therefore Canada's economic plans. Well, it's not even a province. Yeah. It's not even David Eby. It's these First Nations who, according to David Eby, though he might be a biased
he may be strong
transmitter
them,
of the
though,
information, but according to David Eby, they're going to bin all of his LNG projects and all the rest of it if this oil pipeline is allowed to be built.
He may be strawmanning the First Nations group too, because he realizes he doesn't have the actual power, so he's pushing somebody else in the front that he thinks has more power than him. And but I mean, here we have Alberta, one of the biggest contributors to transfer payments across Canada, BC used to, being basically told, remember a Liberal MP that's still a Liberal MP, Karina Gold, said we need to landlock Alberta's resources. And then also, Mark Carney said we need to keep 80% of it in the ground. These are the policies that they have not backtracked. Mark Carney has not come out and said I was wrong on that, has he? Have you heard him say that? I was wrong on that?
Have you heard him say he was wrong on anything? I'm trying, off the top of my head, I can't think of a single thing.
And has Karina Gold been called to task for that, other than she deleted the tweet?
I mean, she was many years ago. It was highlighted. But yeah, it's not something that she is exactly contrite about, I don't think.
And then the other thing that Canadians suffer from is access to healthcare. I mean, a lot of people brag that Canada has free healthcare, but the problem is you can't access it. And we're going to talk about that later when we get to the BC section. Access to healthcare, free healthcare is one thing. Access is another thing. And just, you know, with this record immigration, they're finally going to do a study on it. The Commons Health Committee has voted for the first time to investigate immigration's impact on Medicare. Really? Seriously? You add that many people to a system, and a lot of these people coming from a country where they didn't have access to health care, of course they're going to have higher needs. Hearings proposed by a Conservative MP coincided with the Department of Immigration marketing campaign that asked foreigners, did you know Canada's... So they're actually advertising, if you could put up that tweet there by Melissa Lanceman there. Nick, if you could put that up, the one on the next one there. They're actually saying, thinking about moving to Canada, did you know Canada has public health care? Learn how it works and who can get it and what services are covered. So they're actually promoting Canada's free health care that many Canadians argue they can't get access to it. Make it make sense. Make it make sense.
I mean, the conversation about this is just so, like, it's so strangled and stupid and small, isn't it? Like, the extent to which this can be discussed honestly, it's almost, you know, you'll search in vain for a serious conversation about this, because you'll get like the absolute bottom feeders, like the stupidest people in this country will just start talking about race and racism and prejudice and things like that. I mean, you can just forget them immediately, because I think they're just a lost cause.
People in Canada have died
But
in waiting rooms. People in Canada have died in waiting rooms. We've done the story because they can't get access to this free healthcare, which they continue to advertise to countries outside. Come to Canada, free healthcare. Meanwhile, Canadians are dying in waiting rooms.
Yeah, but then the next one up from those bottom feeders are people that say, "Oh, well, I went to the hospital last week, and the doctor that looked after me was an immigrant. Therefore, let's have infinity immigration." It's just, again, that is such a transparently, obviously stupid thing to say. Not every immigrant to Canada is a doctor. I mean, just in case I need to sort of finish that knot off there. I just, what can you do when this is the sort of standard of conversation about this? If you can finally push past it and get to kind of like the sensible middle brow heights where you can actually discuss facts, then maybe something can be done about it. But obviously, the health system in this country is being stressed immensely by population growth. Population growth in Canada, another way to describe population growth in Canada is immigration, because that's where it all comes from.
And the other thing is, this fits the Liberal slogan that we've tagged them with: for the benefit of the few at the expense of the many. And that's Canadians, we say, who wins and who pays the price? Canadians are paying the price for the Liberals' out-of-control immigration policy. That's from the MP Mazur. Told Commons September 19. Let me be clear. Immigration is important to our country, but governments have control over it. I mean, you got to have, I mean, it just makes sense, right? The Cabinet last October 24th tabled an immigration plan that set annual quotas for new landed immigrants at 471,000, 24, 395,000 this year. The figures, though, did exclude the over 3 million foreigners in Canada on valid and expired temporary permits, including students, migrant workers, and visitors. So yeah, so there's a lot more that don't even fit into those numbers. Last year, the Liberals brought in nearly 500,000 permanent immigrants. Meanwhile, 6.5 million Canadians do not have access to a family doctor. 6.5 million, no access to a family doctor. The Liberals see no problem adding hundreds of thousands of new patients to a healthcare system that's already overburdened. And we're going to talk more about that later, right? But, and they're going to finally do a study? They're finally going to do a study? What?
Yeah, study. Brilliant. So I just have to contradict somebody on YouTube who's just said, I don't see any other province with pipelines on their land. Go get yourself on Google and type in pipeline map Canada, and you'll see all the places that have pipelines in this country. It's not just BC. I mean, come on. How do you think they get oil? How do you think they get oil, like gas, in Toronto? How do you think they do that?
There is, and then somebody did comment on the Bricklin. Yeah, it did come with a 351 Cleveland, which was a Ford motor. Yes, that is correct. What was his name? John Grissom, I think. John. He ended up in jail and stuff, though, too, right? Because he ended up moving to California. There was cocaine and all that other stuff. I can't remember his last name, though. But Back to the Future car. But look at this. CBC is going to target dissatisfied users in a bid to grow audience. I mean, no audience, CBC. The Liberal, basically, mouthpiece arm of the government has released a 5-year plan designed to expand its audience by attracting non-users and dissatisfied users who undervalue its services. Like, seriously.
It's a bit of a loaded description, that, isn't it? Undervalued. That sort of presupposes that there's value. And it's just being undervalued. You just need to see the true value of CBC.
There's no words for the CBC. The misinformation. But look at this. This is what they do for the Liberals is make ads. Look at this. Mark Carney just basically cut and paste their ad. Look at this. There's CBC News. Canada's economy adds 60,000 jobs in September with gains led by manufacturing. And it's such a good ad. Mark Carney just like retweet, right? Like just like that. It's like that's how good the CBC is for the Liberal Party. They don't even have to like add a comment to it. They just press the retweet button. Just the other day we said what was on the PMO's office website was almost a duplicate on the CBC's homepage.
And there's a picture of an auto worker, that just totally typical auto worker that if you go into any
well lit
car
too.
manufacturing plant,
well
that's
lit.
that's what you'll see.
And well lit. That's like that's a really good photograph there. Like, good job, great job. This like it's basically a promo ad. Like CBC did a promo ad there with this beautiful photo, right? Just amazing.
But I mean, I play a game with CBC Radio when I'm in the car.
Yeah.
And I have a rule that I'll turn on CBC Radio 1. I'll listen to the radio until they somehow make a story, whatever that story is. You know, it might be about a piece of music, it might be about a chocolate bar or something. Until they make that about sort of like feminism, critical
Climate change.
theory, you know, all climate change, all the usual
Suspects.
ideological, all the symptoms of an ideological disease, where the disease that they've transmitted from the American universities, basically what people call wokeism, whatever. I play that game where I can't turn it off until I hear that angle being followed. And I can tell you, I think the longest I've lasted is something like 4 or 5 minutes. And I'm telling you, I'm being completely honest here, completely nothing hidden. It takes usually about 90 seconds, 2 minutes, and it's anything. It doesn't matter what it could be. A movie. They have their own movie critics. I don't know if you know that. They've got film critics at CBC Radio who sort of call in and start talking about a movie. Every single time it's one of those critical theory obsessions. It's just everything. It doesn't matter what it is. If a bakery opens in Winnipeg, it will be somehow critical theory will get in there. It's just astonishing. I'm telling you. And if they really want to fix their service and they want to appeal to the population, they have to move beyond that, because that kind of thing applies to, at the very most, maybe 15 or 20% of the Canadian population. And not all of those people listen to CBC anyway.
The question is, I don't think they're serious about it anyway. This might be just a way to get more money and say they need more money for a study in how to do this, because they're not serious about it. Because if you pick this ad apart, this shows you right there. Pick this ad apart. Is the CBC's job to pump the Liberals' tires? Because I could that same press release that came out from Stats Canada had a lot of bleak data in there, but this seems they picked one piece out of it and they put that out there, just like, oh my God, look at this. Because I mean, the economic data in Canada is not rosy.
Chief among, I mean, the main statistic there really is that the unemployment rate is still over 7%. That was the big news.
That's what it should say right underneath it. Unemployment rate over 7%.
Over 7%. Over 7%. Like, listen to that. Listen to those words. Like,
youth unemployment at, right?
Yeah.
Youth unemployment.
I can't remember what it is now. It's double figures, though. Yeah.
And the stat is a moment in time, and maybe there was layoffs, and all of a sudden they added some manufacturing jobs, and then next month when they just cut a bunch of jobs, what's this going to look like? Are they going to do that same ad there and show this person broken down there without a house? Do you know what I mean? Like, look at the lighting of the photo. This is an ad. This is clearly an ad. Like, sponsored content. If anything, it should say underneath it, sponsored by the Liberal Party of Canada.
I mean, that might be the Liberal Party's own stock image there. I don't know if that was in the CBC story, but to be fair, they do tend to use pictures like that, so it's hard. It's actually difficult to say, isn't it?
And then remember the CBC was definitely anti-Trump. They led this anti-Trump parade, but here they go now defending Mark Carney's, I guess, about face on Donald Trump. Listen to how now they're like framing it.
And deeper, the other reality is that we're probably going to have a lot of trouble with our auto industry for decades to come if this goes ahead the way it looks like it. And you know, the awkward reality for Prime Minister Carney is he governed in campaign poetry against Donald Trump and the United States, and now he has to govern in realpolitik prose, and that prose is, we continue to need the United States. It remains indispensable to us. Your last guest was proof positive of that. Despite the appeals of overseas diversification in our trade, the United States is hours away by rail and by truck, and it still is the most lucrative market in the world. So Mr. Carney has to make that clear to Canadians. We still need Donald Trump's America.
Sure.
And deeper, the other reality is that we're...
Wow. What a
I'm
revelation.
glad he's on the big bucks to come and tell us this
What a
secret information.
You and I said this, like right in the beginning there, just like who's next door to each other? How much trade do we do? And then we showed the charts that showed how much we do with other nations. But the CBC was all elbows up, anti-Trump. We don't need America. We can do it on our own. All of a sudden, Carney now is playing the other game. He's like now Donald Trump's best buddy. And all of a sudden, CBC is softened up on Donald Trump. Imagine that.
I can't imagine it.
And imagine that. Now explain it to the Brampton auto workers. What happened? Explain it to them. Explain it to them.
Well, CBC says that there are loads of jobs. I found that article, by the way, the one that we were just talking about. I don't know if Nick wants to put it up, but it's great news for auto workers if you look at CBC's article about the recent jobs report. I mean, it's all a bit hopeless, isn't it, sometimes?
And then here's Tim Hodgson putting out his little tweet, his little ad as well, and he's saying he's at the UK for the London Mercantile Exchange Week, a hub for the global mining industry. And Canadian miners are responsibly produced, low carbon, and grounded in respect for fair labor and Indigenous principles. It's a great story. We attract global businesses and sell our products to the world. I don't know, like I've interviewed a few mining people, and they seem to be Canadian miners that seem to be spending their energy, their capital, and their time in the United States. I don't know. Show us a new mining company that's starting. Show us some examples. That's what I'd like to see. You got some?
Yeah.
Catalyze something.
Yeah, I mean, it's he's been to Quebec a couple of times and talked about some pretty small investments, hasn't he? But there's not been a kind of big look at this kind of
where's
project,
the list? Where's the list? Trilogy Metals is a Canadian company. Trilogy Metals, and this is how you fast track something. And I talked to Finance Minister Brenda Bailey. I said, here's an example: Trilogy Metals, Canadian company, with a mine in Alaska. What did the Trump administration do for them? They said they're going to build them a road. They're going to build them a road, a 200-mile road. They're going to build the road for them. They're going to pay for it with tolls later, but they're going to cover the road, and they're going to invest 10% in Trilogy Metals. And they bought stock. Stock went from $3 to $15. I think it peaked out at the high, and right now trading at $11.86, down a couple bucks. But I mean, look at that. It's absolutely, and I said, are you going to do the same? Are you going to actually fast track some miners and actually help them build the infrastructure they need to get metals to the market? She said yes. That remains to be seen, though, because I haven't seen anything. Have you? Make an announcement.
I mean, we haven't seen a lot of anything really, have we? Just yet. I think the Ring of Fire in Ontario. There's been so much chat about that, hasn't there? That might be a low-hanging fruit for them to prove they're doing something.
Are you talking about all the EV plants that have went up in fire? Is that the Ring of Fire you're talking about? The bright drop vehicles?
Don't quote that we can build our own supply chain entirely, but unfortunately there won't be any companies at the end of that supply chain to actually build the cars.
Pierre Poilievre on a podcast here kind of went out on a limb here. Amazing that they're not attacking him yet. They're maybe just pretending that he didn't say it. But let's listen to what he has to say.
Many of the scandals of the Trudeau era should have been involved jail time. I mean, Trudeau broke the criminal code when he took a free vacation from someone with whom he had government business. It's just it's right there in the criminal code. If the RCMP had been doing its job and not covering up for him, then he would have been criminally charged. And again, he probably violated the criminal code in the SNC-Lavalin scandal. These would normally have led to criminal charges, but of course the RCMP covered it all up, and the leadership of the RCMP is frankly just despicable when it comes to enforcing laws against the Liberal government. But yeah, I would fire them, and in cases like that, I would report them to the police.
That's
big words.
I don't see it on CBC. They must be figuring out a way to attack it yet, so they haven't.
They'll be right now lining up experts from various universities across Canada, and they'll be saying, "What does this mean? Is he now Donald Trump?
Yeah,
Is this somehow undermining our rule of law and democratic system?"
Because he made accusations not on Trudeau and the Liberals, but also on the RCMP being complicit in this. So was it pretty strong?
He's done that before, though. I've heard him say that RCMP thing before.
Yeah.
I don't know about putting Trudeau in jail. Probably he has done it before. But to be fair, all he said there, if you want to read between the lines, is, "I wish to enforce the criminal code."
Yep.
It shouldn't be too controversial.
Well, big breaking news. Big breaking news. The Liberals lost their foothold in the Newfoundlanders. Newfoundlanders voted for change, and they ousted the Liberal Party after 10 years, and they put a Tory in there. So there you go. Tony Wakeham said it's just the beginning. We're ready to govern, ready to deliver lower taxes, better healthcare, safer communities. Well, you can say that that's better than what a lot of the Conservatives can say here in BC. Are they ready?
It's an interesting one. Obviously, it's an important province. It doesn't have a very large population, but it is pretty darn important. So we'll see. It also it does matter what the relationship's like with Carney as well. I mean, are they gonna work together? I have to say, I don't really know off the top of my head. But
I guarantee if you ask a Newfoundlander, can we have a pipeline to the eastern coast? And they'd say, I can't even remember because I used to hang out with lots of Newfoundlanders. They'd say, bloody right. And then they would say they'd come with a couple of schooner beers because, we need jobs. So sure, let's get the pipeline built. Buds. I think buds is a big word.
Well, they've been all in on I can't remember what they call it, blue hydrogen or green hydrogen, one of the hydrogens. They were selected for that, weren't they? I think it's called green hydrogen, isn't it? Because it's wind turbines would do the thing, whatever it is that happens, that produces the hydrogen or that makes it so that you can package it as energy. That was going on there, and I know they've had a lot of wind turbines there, haven't they? But they also have an oil patch off there, don't they? Which is quite
offshore,
quite consequential.
Oil. And then Danny Williams, one of the most colorful premiers in Canada, said Newfoundlanders deserve a job. He had a scheme there where he would move move rocks from one pile to the other side of the street, and then lay them off so they get their stamps for EI, and then hire another group and they would move the rocks back. And then he was questioned on that and said that, because it's transfer payments, and saying that, as a Newfoundland, stealing from the other provinces. And he said it's a right of Newfoundlanders to move rocks around. So, yeah. Danny Williams.
I mean, FDR did that kind of thing, and he's considered now to be like one of the great heroes of liberalism. So
they need more Danny Williams. Ralph Klein's Danny Williams. The colorful guys that actually said what they meant. And Doug Ford, he's kind of in that vein, but I don't know. Doug Ford speaks out of two sides of his mouth at the same time.
He's also, like I've said many times, if you want any idea, if you want to get an idea of who Doug Ford is, just read about Boris Johnson. He is so much like Boris Johnson, where he just says things but doesn't do anything about it. Like, I don't know if we're going to talk about him threatening to beat someone up.
Yeah, we got it later.
Beat up a shoplifter. Yeah. Do something about it. Don't just threaten to beat them up by yourself.
Yeah, like the straight talkers in Canada right now for premiers, definitely Danielle Smith. She doesn't change her tune. She's got, and Scott Moe, I would say. But other than that, you can't. Well,
they both actually do things though as well. Like Scott Moe was really upset for so long about the industrial carbon tax, and as far as I'm aware, I haven't checked up on it. Yeah, I haven't checked up on it in the last few weeks, but as far as I'm aware, there's no agreement in place for him to pay that. He just said, "I'm not going to pay it anymore," and
they threatened to put him in jail. Remember the
Danielle
CBC?
Smith.
Yeah, the CBC even went after him, right?
And Justin Trudeau, he was like, the one thing you don't want to do is defy the CRA. It's just like,
and then they sicked the CBC on him. Actually, they get another proof that the CBC works for the Liberals. They went right at Scott Moe, right? Just like,
but that's
rabid dogs.
Now.
Yeah, just
but
like
certainly
dogs.
Anyway, Scott Moe, he's like you say, he's a straight shooter. I guess he is, but he's, to an extent at least, a straight doer as well, isn't he? And that does also apply to Danielle Smith, who you could say has made Alberta the proponent for this pipeline, and she's done several things. Like, she does actually do things. With Doug Ford, I don't know, what's he done? They said he was going to ban speed cameras. I guess that's kind of something, but he hasn't actually done it yet. You have to actually do things, It's more than just talking the talk.
Here's Marco Rubio's counterpart. I'm sure Rubio wakes up in cold sweats in the middle of the night, wondering how he's going to compete with Anita Anand. But here she's announcing what she got out of India. Let's listen in.
Namaste, mera naam Anita hai. I'm so happy to be here in India and Mumbai today. The main message that Canada is bringing to India is that we are here to elevate the relationship with India. We have a focus on domestic public security in Canada. At the same time, we are working to strengthen the economic relationship with India across various sectors. Those include AI, energy, agriculture and agri-food, climate and environmental sustainability, as well as people-to-people and business-to-business ties. This is a comprehensive draft statement or final statement that we released yesterday, and we look forward to working with India in the next iterations of the Canada-India relationship. But as I said, there are two main priorities. One is public safety at home, and two is the economic relationship. Namaste. Dhanyavad. Thank you.
Can you translate that for me?
Namaste,
I
indeed.
couldn't understand. Where is the deal? Where's the beef?
The only
deal?
part that I understood was namaste, which is a foreign language.
Where's the beef? Like where? What deal? You think India cares about climate collaboration? Is that the main focus in India? Is that what if you go look at what India's doing? Is it climate collaboration? Is that what they're in China too? You might as well go there to China and tell them that you're working on Chinese net zero targets with China.
But also this idea of, which is absolutely beloved of the Liberal Party, this fantasy that they have that there's something called the international rules-based order, which is a kind of collective delusion that they're all suffering under. I can tell you that in India, nobody suffers under that delusion. They know that that doesn't exist, and they don't even pretend like it exists. They do what is best for India. And if that is bad for Canada or anyone else, then the Indians don't care. They don't give a hoot.
It's one of the tougher markets to access. It is one of the toughest markets to access. It's impossible,
It's one of the hardest of all.
Yeah, and then that's the complaint from even Elon Musk and from Trump and everything. They have tons and tons of tariffs. And, Canada's had a terrible relationship with India ever since Justin Trudeau did his little, whatever trip there where there was rumors, allegations that there was some narcotics on the plane that delayed him leaving there. And
but it also goes into this stuff, isn't it, as well? It's like people that have come from India, Indians, you might call them, people that come from India, who've moved to Canada and push, very controversial policies such as the creation of a Sikh separatist state in Punjab. Obviously that upsets the Indians very, very much. And Canada has been accused for a very long time of not taking that seriously. I mean, that's the real that's the thorn in India's side and in the side of the relationship between Canada and India.
She also puts AI first, I guess, because it comes first in the alphabet, AI. But we talked about it yesterday. Here's the thing with AI. For everybody that doesn't understand, for AI to do anything with AI, you need the GPUs. It's like that old ad. We need the GPUs, and everybody wants them. Where do you think Canada is on the list with NVIDIA? Because that's the only place you're really going to get them is NVIDIA. So where do you think Canada is on the list there with Elon Musk's best buddy Jensen Huang? Where do you think Canada fits on that list?
Trump's best buddy as well. Yeah. Many appearances alongside Trump.
Where is Canada on that list to get GPUs?
We'll start our own NVIDIA.
I think maybe we should revive the BlackBerry.
Yeah.
Oh, my. And here's your buddy. Doug Ford claimed he threatened to beat somebody up at Home Depot. And, I listened to this little speech there. I was going to play it, but I thought, you know what? He's like, buddy, I'm going to kick your, show me what's in the bag. One, is he a cop? Like all of a sudden he's playing cop or what? Like playing tough guy? That's the thing. Doug Ford is a fake tough guy. Like he's a phony tough guy. He talks tough all the time. He's wasting Canadian taxpayer money by doing this $75 million ad. The only people getting money out of that is Meta and whatever agency, probably McKinsey and Co. are probably just bleeding Doug Ford. You try to do an FOI and see who's getting the money for that ad they're running in the United States, and how much of it went to the creation of the ad, and how much went for running the ad, and what is the result of the ad? Because we got nothing so far. You think you're going to convince America, which seems to be like, everybody's in love with Trump. Look at his poll numbers. And now you're running ads, Canada running ads against the president that has high poll numbers? I don't know.
But yeah, this story is mad as well, isn't it? It's like, are we supposed to believe that in this day and age, Doug Ford was chasing a shoplifter around, threatening to kick his bottom, in his words, and this sort of violent interaction occurred, and nobody got their phone out and recorded it? I mean, and he said he ditched his police detail as well. Is it that easy to do? Is it that easy just to get away from your
no witnesses all of a sudden,
bodyguards?
No witnesses to Doug Ford's heroic movement.
Even if it did happen, I'm pretty sure that this could get you prosecuted, couldn't it? If you were just an average peasant and you did this, you could be prosecuted.
But if you want to do something, Doug, why don't you just change tell the RCMP they need to prosecute shoplifters? Because the RCMP won't even show up for a lot of that. The store owners call and they're just like, yeah, no, we don't got time for that. Nothing happens in the court system anyway. We arrest them, we process them, they get out. I'm still doing the paperwork. I did the interview yesterday with Macklin McCall. He said it's just frustrating for the RCMP. We got to kind of speed it up because we do have a really good interview coming up as well. At 10:30, I have Peter Millibar, an MLA for the BC Conservatives. We're going to talk about the mass resignation coming up here in Kamloops Royal Inland Hospital, where a bunch of OBGYNs mass resigned. But let's finish up some of these stories here. Judge finds man $5,000 over fake citations obtained through AI. There you go. Maybe he can get hired by Evan Solomon. Okay. Well, let's do that. Let's do the BC
such a risky
news.
business, though. I mean, most people that use AI a lot have experienced this, where it will. What do they call it? They call it like daydreaming or something. Hallucinating. Yeah. Most people have experienced this. Very, very risky to base your legal case on that, to be honest.
Let's move into BC News here.
Coming to you live from the Now Media Newsroom.
And that's Peter Milbar sounding the alarm after 7 OBGYNs resign for the in-hospital privileges, and we're gonna leave it there. You can come back at 10:30 and you can listen to the show because we're gonna try to get through this here because we got to get ready for Peter. But this falls on the heels of the pediatric department that was closed here in Kelowna at KGH, again with the mass resignation of pediatricians here in Kelowna. Interior health is a mess. Well, basically, it's a mess in the whole health care in the province. And we've asked for interviews with the new CEO and the prior CEO of Interior Health. And I mean, we've asked for comment from the health ministry as well. It's like talking to the wall. And I did interview yesterday Macklin McCall, former RCMP member. He's the MLA for West Kelowna Peachland. And we talked about quite a few things in there. And one that gets picked up and shared all over the internet is on gun control. And we talked about, the Liberal government's going after, guns from, like people that are legally own these guns. And instead of going after the criminals with guns, and we talked about the ports in BC that are barely, like the drugs and the guns are coming through the ports and they seem to be targeting the wrong people. And
many such cases, really. It's not just that, is it? It's not just guns, not just ports. It seems to be the rule now for misgovernance in this country.
And then here's Ravi Parmar. The NDP love the straw man, and I even asked the finance minister if they straw man Trump too much, and she denied it. But here he is straw manning Trump again on the tariffs. 45% tariffs now on softwood, and he said it's a direct attack on workers. But our forestry industry has been sick for a long time here in BC. I did so many interviews on that, including with the forest minister, Bruce Ralston. probably a year ago now. And at that time, we had lost 10,000 forestry workers, and then companies like Canfor stopped investment in Houston, their planned expansion. They closed Bear Lake, and then they curtailed production in some of their Prince George mills. And they said BC is no longer investable. Same thing I got when I interviewed the VP of AP Planers. And they said that the forest industry was doing well in Alberta, but not in BC. And this just adds to the, Rustad said it was tragic, and I can't remember if Rustad or Falcon both said it was just basically a disarray. And the biggest complaint was access to fiber. This makes things even worse, though. But softwood lumber tariffs have been around since the Jean Chrétien days. Anyway, we got some international news, a little bit of international news, but we're going to, again, Peter Milbar will be on at 10:30. If you got questions, you can chuck them in the comments, or you can join me at 10:30 and ask questions. Let's do the international news, though. I guess we're just going to do it. Hey, Nick, you going to run an intro, or we're just doing it? Okay, so Argentina president Javier Milei was at the White House yesterday and stunned the world by gifting Trump a framed letter of him nominating him for the Nobel Peace Prize. I watched that press conference, and there's a lot of tire pumping on both sides.
I'm sure that Milei will be pumping Trump's tires because Trump's bailed him out.
Yeah, he's actually
a massive bailout, something like $20 billion. That
I think there's
to help prop up the Argentine peso.
And there's an election coming up as well. So
yeah, well, it's been theorized that that's why the deal was done. Yeah, I mean, Milei is certainly going to be loyal to Trump, at least in public.
He's got the hair. He's got a Mick Jagger look going on, eh? Javier.
Maybe, but he's also got like a really crazy face, hasn't he? He's not somebody that you'd want to encounter on the subway late at night.
He's the chainsaw guy. What's that? Freddie? What was his name? Freddie?
Yeah.
What was the name of those movies? Freddie? I can't remember. Nightmare on Elm Street, I think, or something like that, right?
Oh, right. I thought you were about Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Oh, there's that
Not
too.
Freddy Krueger. Did Freddy Krueger have a chainsaw? Did he?
I don't know.
I thought he had. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not even gonna guess.
Kamala Harris is selling books like crazy, and she's coming up in Toronto. There, we talked about it yesterday. You can go back to yesterday's show, and you can find out the date in case you're looking for it. Some of the tickets are going for these astronomical prices. But here, she's going to share a pearl of wisdom here with you. Let's listen in on Kamala Harris's pearl of wisdom.
That is a decent resume. But go ahead.
Well, some people have actually said I was the most qualified candidate ever to run for president.
I like the some people say. Very nice. But go ahead.
I'm just speaking fact.
Yeah. That is a decent.
That's good. Should have asked her, who are these some people? Is that your mom, or who is that?
Can you get what I want to know is, can you get a psychologist or a psychiatrist if you call 911? Will they come and help diagnose somebody that's going to die from narcissism? Because that is like, she just said, and didn't even veil it really. There wasn't any false modesty there. She just said, I was more qualified to be president than Thomas Jefferson and George Washington and James Madison, some of the greatest administrators in human history that we've ever known of. And she's saying, I was the most qualified president. I mean, it like, as is often the case with Jolie and Champagne and some others, it causes me physical pain. This is a physical reaction. I've got angina listening to that.
Well, whatever she's on, you don't want any of it because she suffers from mass delusions. She also says that she lost the closest race in history, where she lost all 7 swing states and most of the counties, all this stuff, but it was the closest. Popular vote, yeah, everything. Lost everything. And then, of course, it was because she picked Tim Walz because she couldn't pick Pete Buttigieg because he was gay. And then Rachel Maddow kind of lost it on him. And then she said, well, no, I'm not. It's not me that's saying it. It's Trump. Everything's Trump's fault. She should pal around with Ravi and David Eby. and Doug Ford, and then they can just all. I wonder if Doug Ford's going to be at the event in Toronto there, or if Olivia Chow will be on stage, dancing.
Yeah, she can start with a dance, interpretive dance.
And you put this one in here. U.S. government celebrates deportation of foreigners who insulted Charlie Kirk. So the U.S. government's following the political activist's murder when he got killed. The State Department highlighted individuals kicked out of the U.S. An Argentinian who said Kirk was a racist, and a German who branded him a fascist. Yeah, so I guess Rachel Gilmore won't be, traversing into the United States. She was one. Remember, she was on social media saying that she's being targeted because somebody put her on the website. They put her up first as well, too. They gave her the first top billing there.
Yeah, this is a bit odd, though. I must say. I mean, the Americans can do what they want, can't they? They can decide who should or shouldn't be in their country, who should be allowed to stay. But they've taken quite a bit of criticism for this. Because if you go through, this is like a thread, and it features tweets, and it's like the offending tweets where they call Charlie Kirk a racist or something like that. And that's what they've been deported for that reason. I mean, in fairness, it's not, you wouldn't want that kind of person in your country, would you? I suppose if you were in charge of your country, but nonetheless, it's attracted some negative criticism for being a little bit heavy-handed.
Here's a story from my youth. I was 16, and we traveled across. We used to go across the border. Lived in Midway in Osoyoos. The border's like right there. You go to Oroville, and we used to go across all the time. It was just a regular occurrence, and usually it was pretty touching, easy to go. Somebody gave me some fake money, like joke money. It was an American dollar that had some pictures of girls on it and stuff like that. I don't know. I just threw it in my console. I don't think nothing of it. That was haha funny, right? So they search my car, and they tell me I have to go into the office, and I'm just like, for what? And then they pull out this money. They show me this money that clearly isn't counterfeit. It's like a joke. And then I spent the next hour begging to not be charged, that it was a joke, like not to be. Yeah, it was wild. That how dare I come down there and insult the United States of America and all that. I'm just like, it's not even like.
Were they that bored? They had nothing else to do.
They figured they wanted to intimidate a 16-year-old, I guess, and then that was. So I'm just saying, like, a lot of this stuff is not new. Anyway, but there is a revival happening, and then we saw that with this. The Sean, the Christian singer that was here in Canada, we're seeing some revival Christianity, seeing a bit of a revival. Stunning data revives Christianity surging in the United States. Bible sales up 41%. App downloads up 79%. Christian music streaming up 50%. Remember, the Bible used to be in all the Gideon used to be in every motel room. I don't know if it still is or not, but
I haven't seen one in a long time. But yeah, I used to find that quite amusing. I'd always check just to make sure.
But,
yeah, not nowadays.
We're gonna end the show with the Carnival of Cringe. Like, nobody does cringe like Olivia Chow. Like, how is she elected there? I'm just puzzled. Like, did anybody
Gives you
else
an
run?
idea of what the people of Toronto are like. I think if you've never been to Toronto and you're wondering what they're like, there you go.
Let's listen in on the Carnival of Cringe here. The mayor is at it again.
Hey, John, I want you to know that
turn it off there, Nick. It's got music on there, and it's going to cause us some grief, though, right? But anyway, she's doing an ad there for Roger's phone while she's at it. Ow.
With the Blue Jays top on as well.
How is what does it matter with people in Toronto? Are you okay? Is Toronto okay?
It's not really. And if the people from BC wondering, just go to Vancouver or just think about Vancouver. I'm sure you've been, like, and the sort of strange characters that frequent that city. Toronto is not quite as insane as Vancouver, but it has its fair share of very, very silly people.
But like this, is this a serious? Like, this is like how? Like, what is going on? Like, is anybody serious run in Toronto?
Yeah, well, there have been some more serious ones, such as Doug Ford's late brother. he was considered
I mean,
serious.
Even though he was, he had some crack problems and stuff like that, he's still like a cut above this.
That's true. It is actually true. He may have been a crackhead, but he was better than her.
And you know what? The thing with Rob Ford, if he said he was going to kick somebody's ass, he probably would have, right? Instead of Doug, where Doug was making up. Doug might have been hallucinating like AI on the kicking the guy's ass, but Rob Ford definitely would have probably done it. Ralph Klein was a character like none other in Alberta. He turned Alberta's fortunes around. Ralph Klein was a premier to remember for sure. Anyway, that's our show. Peter Milbar at 10:30. I'll be back online at 10:30 with Peter Milbar. We're going to talk about Kamloops, the hospital there, the Royal Inland Hospital, with mass resignation. And again, this is not the first time in BC healthcare system where we're seeing these mass resignations. And in Kelowna, we closed the pediatric department, and Kamloops, it's a regional hospital. Again, it's a catchment hospital for a lot of the areas around it. It's not just like a small community hospital. It's a regional hospital. It is one of the bigger regional hospitals, so it takes in from the surrounding areas, and so it's a big deal.
And often when some of the worst hit ERs, Williams Lake, 100 Mile House, and all those ones, when they close, they send them to Kamloops. Yeah, I think Lillooet as well. They send them to Kamloops.
It's what is it? Is British Columbia becoming like a joke? They'll say you're in Prince George, and so sorry, we got to send you to Kamloops. You get to Kamloops, and they're like, yeah, nobody's here. We're going to send you to Kelowna, and then get to Kelowna and say nobody's here, so they're going to send you to Vancouver. Is that how it goes, or like what?
And then the Coquihalla will be closed due to climate change.
Yeah, is that the SNL skit that goes on here?
Yeah. Need to invent a giant catapult that fires people to the lower mainland so that they can be treated.
Maybe somebody should do an ad instead of what the Liberals are doing. Come to Canada for free healthcare. They should just fix that ad. Come to Canada for non-existent free healthcare.
Come to the lower mainland for healthcare.
That's our show. We're back tomorrow. We're every day at 9 a.m. every weekday anyway. Every weekday. If you like what we do, please share it. We don't have the budget of CBC, and we will definitely try to do better than the CBC. We don't do ads for the Liberal Party, I can tell you that. Nor do we do ads for the Conservative Party, but hey. And we don't get any funding from the Russians.
Not even the NDP.
What's that?
Not even the NDP.
We don't even do ads.
We don't do ads for anyone.
Yeah, nobody will pay us. That's the problem, right?
Hit us up, NDP. Give us a call. They've got no money. We shouldn't waste our time with them.
The NDP is broke. Yeah, they're broke. Better off with asking the Greens for money. Anyway.
Yeah.
All right, that's our show. Until tomorrow for the really big show. But again, 10:30 with Peter Milbar. Thank you for watching Now Media.
We don't just report the news. We live here too. We're your neighbors, bringing you stories that matter to all of us. No government funding, no outside influence. Kelowna Now, local, independent. News you can trust.